Alright, this is the practice page for Monday, 8/23. Again, you're going to want to make sure that your answers to this practice page match with the ones that I have. Then you upload your answers into the Google Classroom, and then you're going to need to complete the homework assignment and upload a picture of those answers into Google Classroom as well. Alright, so directions here are set up an equation for each problem and then solve. Okay, and make sure you show all your work. So to start with, we have the quotient of a number and 6 is 12. Quotient means divide. Okay, some number x we don't know, and then 12 is what it is going to be equal to, because is means equal. Okay. Now, when we set up quotients or we set up division problems, okay, we often set them up as fractions. So it's the number divided by 6, or x over 6 equals 12. And then to solve that, we need to do the inverse operation of dividing by 6, and the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6. Okay? And what happens is you're really multiplying by 6 over 1, and 6 divided by 6 cancels out. Alright, and what that leaves us with is x equals 72, because 12 times 6 is 72. Okay? Alright, moving on to number 2. The sum of a number and 5 is 21. Again, sum means addition. Some number x is means equals. Okay, so my problem should look like x plus 5 equals 21. So now I need to do the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. And I need to subtract the number away from x. I need to get x on the side by itself. So we subtract 5 on both sides. Okay? Plus 5 minus 5 equals out to 0. And we get x equals 21 minus 5 is 16. Alright, number 3. The difference of a number and 3 is 10. So difference means subtraction. Some number x, and you can use any letter that you would like to represent that. X, n, doesn't matter. Completely up to you. And then 3 is means equal to, right? Equal to 10. So I have x minus 3 equals 10. And in order to solve that, I use the inverse of subtraction, which is addition. And I get rid of the thing that's on the same side as the x, which is the 3. So plus 3. And when I do that, I get those go to 0, and I get x equals 13. Alright, number 4, there's a little bit more going on number 4. We got twice a number, so twice a number, plus 3 is 15. So the real hard part about this one is, what does twice a number mean? Twice a number means multiplication, so it's 2 times some number x, right? So 2x, or 2 times x, plus 3 is, or equals, 15. Now this is a two-step equation that I need to solve. And remember, we need to get the term containing x on a side by itself before we can break up this multiplication. Alright, so I've got to get rid of this subtraction first. So I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. Plus 3 minus 3 cancels out. And I now have 2x equals 12. Now it's a one-step equation, and I need to undo this multiplication. And to do that, I use the inverse operation of multiplication, which is division. So I divide by 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 goes to 1, so I'm left with 1x, or just x. And on the other side, I have 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Okay? If at any time you're unsure, you can take this, if you've solved it correctly, you could take your answer, 6, and you could plug it back into your equation and see if you get 15. If you do, then you've done it correctly, assuming you wrote your equation down correctly. Alright, number 5. 12 less than a number is 5. Important word here, I'm going to circle it in red, than. Okay, that's one of those turnaround words that your teacher has mentioned to you. So 12 less than a number means I'm going to take a number and 12 and I'm going to swap places. Okay? It does not, however, affect the is 5 part. Okay, that still comes down on the end. So something equals 5. Well, what does equal 5? A number minus 12, because we had that turnaround word. So x minus 12 would be my equation. And then to solve that equation, I use the inverse operation for subtraction, which is addition. And I need to get rid of the 12 on that side. So I add 12 to both sides so that I can have x by itself. Okay? Minus 12 plus 12 cancels out, goes to 0. And I'm left with x equals 17. Okay, number 6. 3 more than, there's that word again. 3 more than the quotient of a number and 5 is 4. So 3 and then quotient of a number and 5 is going to swap places. And then is 4 equals 4 is going to be on the very end. So something equals 4. Alright, and so the quotient of a number in 5 would be some number divided by 5, because remember quotient means divide. And then 3 more than that means I need to add 3 to it. So there's my original equation, and then we need to go about solving that. It's a two-step again. I need to subtract 3 to get this term on a side by itself. Okay. Alright, and when I do that, I get x over 5 equals 1. And then I need to undo that division of 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. And I am left with x equals 5. Okay? So x equals 5 is your solution. Alright, we're going to flip to the next page and look at number 7. The product of 5 and a number is 65. Product means multiplication. 5 and some number is means equals. Okay? So I've got x times, 5 times x equals 65. And I always want to put it in the order that they come in, right, for product. 5 and then the number, right, 5 and then some number, so 5 times x. I wouldn't write it as x times 5. I almost made a mistake there. Alright, so now that I have that, we could rewrite that 5x. Remember, with multiplication, you do not have to have a symbol if it's a number and a variable. They can be written right next to each other like that. And then to undo multiplication, we would divide by 5. And we get x equals, and then 65 divided by 5 is 13. So x equals 13. Alright, number 8. 8 less than, there's that word, as soon as I see it. 8 less than the quotient of a number and 6. Okay, so this is very similar to another one we had. So 8 less than the quotient of a number and 6. So the quotient of a number and 6, again, that would be x divided by 6. And then 8 less than that means we're going to subtract 8 from it. And that is 34. So that equals 34. Okay, so first step to solving this is I need to add 8 to both sides. I should have done it in red. Need to add 8 to both sides to undo that. Negative 8 plus 8 goes to 0. And so I get x over 6 equals, and then 34 plus 8 is 42. Okay. And then to solve that, I would need to multiply both sides by 6. And to help me out with that, break out your handy dandy calculator and do 42 times 6. You have access to the calculator, so go for it. I'm using my phone, but you can use your calculator. And that would give me x equals 252. Alright. Number 9. 3 times the sum of a number and 10 is 45. So 3 times the sum. Now this is interesting. So we know it's multiplication. So we know we're going to multiply, but we're multiplying by a sum. So two things added together, some number and 10. So first off, what does a sum of a number and 10 look like? That would be x plus 10. Now I want to multiply by that entire sum. So I need to multiply by 3, but I can't just do 3 like this because that would be 3 times x, but it wouldn't be multiplied by the 10, and I want to multiply by this whole thing. So the x and the 10 need to be grouped together, and in order to group things together, we need to put it inside of parentheses. And since it is 45, then it's going to equal 45. Okay? Now, this is 3 times this. There's actually 2 ways you can do this problem. You could distribute, if you remember how to distribute, and you could go from there. The way I'm going to do it is actually to undo this 3 on the outside. It's 3 multiplied by all this stuff. So I can divide both sides by 3. And those would cancel out. And then you would get x plus 10 equals, and that would be 15. And then the next step would be to subtract 10 on both sides to do that inverse operation and get x equals 5. Now, I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit. What if you had thought about the distributive property, or remembered that from previous years, and done that instead? What would that look like? 3x plus 30 equals 45. So you multiply it by both parts. Alright, now I would need to subtract 30. And I'm left with 3x equals 15. And then the next step to get rid of that 3 would be the inverse operation, divide by 3. And I'm left with x equals 5. Okay? So either way, either method, you get the same answer. Okay? Alright, final question. 5 subtracted from, there's from, than, and from, turnaround words, from half of a number is 15. So something is 15. Let me go ahead and put that over there. Okay? Is meaning equals again. And then 5 subtracted from half of a number. So I need to flip those two things. Well, first off, what is half of a number? How would I write that? Half of some number x. Okay, and 5 is subtracted from that. So minus 5. Okay? There are a couple of ways you can look at this problem, but regardless, the first step is always the same. The first step here is to get this term, 1/2 x, on a side by itself. And to do that, we need to move this 5. So we're going to add 5 to both sides, so that we now have 1/2 x equals 20. From here, there's 2 ways you can think about this. Okay? The way that I think about it is I know that we could try dividing by a fraction. Okay, so we divide by 1/2. Now that looks a little bit weird, but guess what? In your calculator, you can definitely do that. Here's what it would look like. You would do a fraction, and you could do 20, and then on the bottom, hit fraction again, and do 1/2. So that's 20 divided by 1/2. Okay, and you get 40. So what we end up with here is x equals 40. And as long as you showed your steps correctly, then you can type this right here, this right side, directly into the calculator. Okay? And over here, 1/2, anything divided by itself cancels out. The other way you can think about it, so I'm going to draw me a little line here, or when you get to that step, 1/2 x equals 20. If you remember from middle school, you might have been taught never to divide by a fraction. Instead, you multiply by its reciprocal. And the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2/1. Okay? Or, simply put, is 2. 2/1 times 1/2, those cancel out. And I get x equals, and over here, again, you can use your calculator, but 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So this is really 20 times 2, which is 40. Either way, you get the same answer. All right. Again, please use this to help you with the questions on the homework. The homework, this will be for a grade for completion. So as long as you copy down my work and my examples, you know, after trying it yourself, you'll get full points for this practice. But for the homework, you won't have access to that. So make sure you use these examples to help you when you do your homework problems that will also be graded. Okay? Good luck.